Sarah hesitated as she stood in front of the crumbling facade of the pizzeria. She had just moved to town and needed a job desperately. The pizzeria seemed like her only option, despite its ominous reputation. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the creaky door and stepped inside. The interior was dimly lit, with flickering fluorescent lights casting eerie shadows across the worn linoleum floor. The air was heavy with the scent of old dough and stale cheese. A man emerged from the shadows behind the counter, his face hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat. "You here for the job?" he grunted. Sarah nodded, trying to ignore the sinking feeling in her gut. "Yes, I saw the ad in the paper." The man studied her for a moment before nodding. "Fine, you start tonight. I'll show you the ropes." As Sarah settled into her new job, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about the pizzeria. Strange things seemed to happen when she was alone. Objects would move on their own, and she often heard whispers echoing through the empty dining room. One night, as she was closing up, Sarah felt a cold breeze sweep through the restaurant. She shivered, pulling her jacket tighter around her shoulders. Just then, she heard a soft voice calling her name from the kitchen. "Sarah." Heart pounding, she cautiously made her way towards the source of the sound. The kitchen was empty, but the feeling of being watched lingered in the air. Suddenly, the lights flickered, casting the room into darkness. Sarah fumbled for her phone, using its dim light to guide her way out of the kitchen. As weeks passed, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the pizzeria held some dark secret. She began to research its history, uncovering tales of disappearances and unexplained deaths that dated back decades. One evening, as she was closing up, Sarah stumbled upon an old photograph hidden in a dusty corner of the storeroom. It depicted a group of children, their faces frozen in expressions of terror. Intrigued, Sarah began to dig deeper, uncovering newspaper clippings and police reports detailing a series of unsolved mysteries connected to the pizzeria. It seemed that every few years, someone would vanish without a trace, leaving behind only whispers of their fate. Haunted by what she had discovered, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the pizzeria was somehow connected to the disappearances. But before she could investigate further, strange things began happening with increasing frequency. One night, as Sarah was cleaning up after closing, she heard the sound of children's laughter echoing through the empty restaurant. Startled, she glanced around, but the dining room was deserted. "Hello!" she called out, her voice trembling. There was no response, but the laughter continued, growing louder and more frantic with each passing moment. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as she realized she was not alone. Suddenly, the lights flickered and shadows danced across the walls. Sarah's heart raced as she backed away, her mind racing with fear. Then, out of the darkness, a figure emerged. It was a young boy, his eyes hollow and empty as he stared at her with a haunting intensity. "Who are you?" Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible over the sound of her pounding heart. The boy didn't answer, but instead reached out a hand towards her. Before Sarah could react, he vanished into thin air, leaving her alone in the darkness. Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah delved deeper into the pizzeria's dark history. She discovered that the building had once been an orphanage run by a cruel and sadistic caretaker who had abused the children in his care. It was said that the spirits of those children still haunted the pizzeria, seeking vengeance on anyone who dared to disturb their restless slumber. Armed with this knowledge, Sarah confronted the owner of the pizzeria, demanding answers. But he simply laughed, dismissing her claims as the ramblings of a paranoid mind. Undeterred, Sarah vowed to put an end to the haunting once and for all. With the help of a local historian, she uncovered the location of the caretaker's hidden lair beneath the pizzeria. Descending into the darkness, Sarah confronted the malevolent spirit of the caretaker, his twisted form looming before her like a specter of nightmares. With a newfound courage, Sarah faced the spirit head-on, banishing it from the earthly realm and freeing the tormented souls trapped within the pizzeria's walls. As dawn broke over the horizon, Sarah emerged from the depths of the pizzeria, her ordeal finally at an end. Though the building still stood, its dark past had been laid to rest, and Sarah knew that she had played a part in bringing peace to the restless spirits that had haunted it for so long. And as she walked away from the pizzeria for the final time, she couldn't help but feel a sense of relief knowing that the darkness that had once consumed it was finally gone, leaving behind only memories of the horrors that had once lurked within its walls. Jamie's evening, they transform into spooky when they board the last city. More excellent than the evening outside, the carriage hummed with an upsetting silence. As the train jerked ahead, a chilly whisper brushed Jamie's neck, talking in tongues shed to time. The whisper developed into an air-conditioning breath, as if the cool had a life of its own, looking for heat from the living. Jamie felt enjoyed, the weight of hidden eyes weighing down with each passing passage. The flickering lights cast threatening darkness, yet the representation in the home window petrified Jamie. A number curtained in the residues of an additional period rested straight behind them, yet transforming disclosed a vacant seat. The number re-emerged in every representation, its face shadowed by a dark shroud, and its eyes beautiful and with a morbid interest. It murmured Jamie's name, its voice a mix of venom and also grief, representing the evening it was abused by the living. The train screeched to an unanticipated quit, the doors getting rid of the forsaken system of Harlow's End. Leaving, Jamie located themselves on a system that had been swallowed up by time, and the air was thick with torment. Ghostly numbers stirred, their faces turned in infinite screams, bound to the website of their unfortunate death. A mysterious kid got hold of Jamie's hand, leading them via a reenactment of the disaster, a terrible derailing triggered by a dangerous entity that still hungered for hearts. The spirits entrapped in their minute of fatality connected to Jamie, their touch ice cold, sharing visions of their last frightened minutes. To run away, Jamie was challenged by the entity, a turned phantom that fed on the caught hearts. It used Jamie a sinister bargain, flexibility for attracting an additional to Harlow's End. Rejecting to sentence one more heart, Jamie tested the entity, making use of the spirit's cumulative need for launch to damage it. With the ghostly kid's support, Jamie reactivated the old weakening signal box, lighting up the terminal and making the entity momentarily spectacular. The spirits, encouraged by Jamie's act of rebellion, congregated on the port, their light passing through its darkness, liquefying it right into the ether. The train re-emerged, doors vast open, welcoming Jamie back to the world of the living. As they tipped onto the leaving train, the system of Harlow's End faded right into oblivion, and its curse was raised. Getting here at their location, Jamie left right into the very first light of dawn, the evening's scariest appearing like a far-off headache. Yet the chilly touch of the ghostly kid's hand remained a sincere suggestion of the evening when Jamie strolled the line between globes at Harlow's End. In the dark corners of the web, amidst whispers of forbidden knowledge, John stumbled upon an obscure auction for a used mining PC. The listing promised untold riches through cryptocurrency mining, but something about it felt off. With a mixture of curiosity and desperation, John made the winning bid. Little did he know, this decision would plunge him into a nightmare beyond his wildest imagination. The mining PC arrived in a decrepit box, its surface covered in strange symbols that seemed to shift and writhe in the dim light. As John cautiously unpacked it, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was meddling with forces beyond his control. Ignoring his growing unease, John set up the mining rig in his makeshift home office. As he powered it on, the room seemed to pulse with malevolent energy, sending shivers down his spine. Days turned into weeks, and John's obsession with mining consumed him. He spent countless hours glued to his computer screen, his mind lost in a labyrinth of algorithms and virtual currencies. But as the days passed, strange things began to happen in the house. Lights flickered inexplicably, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance and twist of their own accord. Objects moved when John's back was turned, and whispers echoed through the empty halls at night, sending chills down his spine. One fateful night, as John drifted into a fitful sleep, he found himself transported to a surreal dreamscape. In this twisted realm, The boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred, and he found himself face to face with the source of the house's malevolence. With mounting dread, John followed the ethereal glow, each step bringing him closer to the truth. And as he finally reached the heart of the darkness, he came face to face with the entity that had been tormenting him. As John stared into the glowing screen, he realized with a sinking feeling that the true horror lay not in the machine itself, but in the dark forces that lurked within. With a newfound sense of determination, John resolved to rid his home of the dark entity that had taken root within. Armed with nothing but his wits and a handful of makeshift tools, he delved deep into the bowels of the house, confronting horrors beyond imagination. With each passing moment, the house seemed to fight back, its very walls twisting and contorting to thwart his efforts. But John pressed on, his determination unwavering, until finally he reached the heart of the darkness. Just when John thought the nightmare was over, he stumbled upon a hidden chamber within the depths of his home. In this chamber, he found a peculiar VR headset, its design unlike anything he had ever seen before. Intrigued yet wary, he cautiously donned the headset, unsure of what he might find. As he activated the VR experience, John was plunged into a world of unspeakable horror. Every shadow seemed to conceal a lurking terror, every sound a harbinger of doom. And as he navigated this twisted landscape, he soon realized that the nightmare had only just begun. With each passing moment, the VR experience grew more intense, blurring the lines between reality and nightmare. John struggled to maintain his sanity as the horrors of the virtual world threatened to consume him whole. Just when he thought he couldn't take anymore, John stumbled upon a shocking revelation. The VR experience was not merely a game, it was a gateway to another dimension, a realm of unimaginable darkness that threatened to spill over into the real world. With a sense of dread gnawing at his soul, John knew that he had to act fast. He had unwittingly opened a doorway to hell itself, and now it was up to him to close it before it was too late. And as he prepared to face the ultimate challenge, John knew that the true battle had only just begun. For in the depths of the virtual realm, an ancient evil awaited, ready to unleash its wrath upon an unsuspecting world.